Okay, why are you walking down the road with a rifle?
Am I not allowed?
Hi, I'm Ian Runkle, also known as Runkle of the Bailey. In today's video, we're reacting to City of Vancouver versus Mack Worley, raw uncut video. This is another instance of somebody doing sort of Second Amendment auditing, and we'll see how it works out for them.
Okay. Got the rifle right there. Okay.
So he's got an AR-15, and he's going to be open carrying it.
Slung at my side here. And got my ammo here. Let's see. Make sure I got my keys on me. I'll lock it in the car.
Yeah, don't want to forget your keys. That would be bad.
Alright.
Now take a note of where he's parked. This is going to be significant later.
Let's see if this magazine will.
Having some trouble with his camera too.
Magazine into it. I'm just gonna walk. See what happens.
Alright, so you see how he's in a parking lot? That's going to be somewhat significant here in a moment. So let's skip ahead a little bit here, just to get to when he starts having his interactions with the police.
I am a little nervous. This is the first time I've ever open carried.
And
so let's see if I get any strange looks. I don't know if I'll get any police reaction or anything, so we'll see.
First time he's ever open carried, wondering if he's going to get any strange looks, and also wondering about police reaction. Of course, in a lot of these videos, this is kind of the point, is they're trying to seek some sort of reaction. The question is whether they actually enjoy that reaction when it happens. So let's skip forward a little bit and see what happens.
Hey, police officer.
So now the police have arrived on scene.
Hey, let's stop right there. Stop right there. Put the rifle on the ground. Put the rifle on the ground.
I'd rather not touch it, officer.
Put the rifle on the ground.
I don't want to touch the weapon.
So now that the police have arrived, they're hailing him with their loudspeaker there, and they're telling him to put the rifle down. He says, I don't want to touch it. This is a problem that you get in these situations, which is that the police are telling you to do a thing, but there's not necessarily any guarantee that doing that thing won't get you killed. There are some serious risks to this kind of behavior, even though you're within your rights. Being within your rights doesn't necessarily guarantee that you're going to be safe doing it. There's lots of people who've been killed in crosswalks, even though they had, the walk signal and so forth. This is another scenario that can be extremely dangerous. So he's trying to negotiate with the police saying, whoa, I'm not sure I should be doing that. But this is a tough place to be negotiating because the police are not necessarily super calm right now.
They're pointing guns at me right now, and all right.
Now, he's not actually doing anything criminal at this stage.
Please do not shoot me.
So he hasn't committed any offenses here, but he's still having some stress.
Am I being detained right now, officer?
Not sure if you can hear it. They're telling him to put his hands on top of his head.
Just so you know, officer, you're being video recorded right now.
We got eyes on your weapon. You're fine.
You're being video recorded right now. I just want to let you know.
That's fine. Do me a favor. Stop right there. Stop
okay.
Right there. Just lift your shirt up. Turn around. Just want to make sure you don't.
That one's kind of interesting because in the last video I reacted to, they actually put the guy in the car and he had a concealed carry piece that they never found. So this, at least the officer is being a little more cautious than the last guy, just making sure there's nothing tucked into his waistband, no concealed carry piece there.
Can I put my arms down?
Go ahead and put your hands in.
Now, I don't know, he says, can I put my arms down? And you hear the one officer yell no, and then the other officer tells him, go ahead and put your hands down. This is another place where you can get conflicting information, and when you've got this kind of conflicting instructions from two different officers, both of whom may be armed and have guns pointed at you, it can be really easy to end up getting killed.
I'd rather not, sir.
Just turn up.
I don't want to.
Okay. Let me see your ID.
Am I being detained right now, officer?
Huh? Let me see your ID.
No, thank you.
What's that?
No, thank you.
No, thank you?
No, thank you.
Okay, why are you saying no, thank you?
I know it's my Fourth Amendment right. I don't have to show you my identification.
Okay, why are you walking down the road with a rifle?
Now, this is his right, and I will give him points for being polite about it. You know, no thank you. It's really easy to escalate these situations, and that's not a good idea, typically. He's behaving in a polite and respectful fashion here, which is good, because this is clearly a tense situation if there's a bunch of police aiming guns at him. And I'll just note, this is City of Vancouver, Washington. This is not in Canada. As usual, I'm a Canadian criminal defense lawyer, so this is a very different encounter than we'd have here, but this is good police interaction. I always recommend people, you know, when you can, be respectful and polite to the police, even as you're asserting your rights. Because just because you have a right to do something doesn't mean it's not going to get you into a lot of difficulty.
Am I not allowed?
Why? I'm asking you a question. Why are you walking around with a rifle right now?
Why are you walking around with a weapon? Why is she walking
We're
around?
not going to play jokes, all right?
Yeah, now this is sort of getting cute, which is not necessarily the best idea. A better answer to that is just, and I'm not answering any questions, but you know, the why are you is, I mean, there's an obvious answer for why they are, and it's just going to wind people up, which is not helpful here.
We're working right now. So
Okay.
why are you walking around with a rifle?
I'm allowed. It's my constitutionally protected right.
That's your firearm?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Registered to you?
I'm not going to answer any more questions,
Okay.
officer.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah.
The-
Go ahead and
the time for that was a couple
just check that
questions
real
ago.
quick.
Just so you know, I don't consent to any searches or seizures of my firearm.
All right. That's good.
Yeah, they weren't asking.
Taking it anywhere. So just make sure it's not stolen. Make sure the weapon's clear.
The I don't consent to any searches, it's a good thing to bring up if they're asking to search, like, hey, can we search this? You say no. But when they're just telling you, hey, we're searching your stuff, it's because they're going to anyway. It might be good to say I don't consent to any searches, but you've got to realize that isn't going to change things at that point. And just staying silent is probably as good, but can't hurt a whole lot here. He didn't seem to cause any trouble with it, but it's still, no, they weren't asking.
So why are you walking around with a rifle?
I'm not going to answer any more of your questions.
The officer behind sort of darting her eyes.
What's your badge number, officer?
I don't have a badge number. If you can find one on there, let me know.
What's your name?
My name is Officer Rollins.
Officer Rollins. Can you spell that for me, please, sir?
Yeah, I will in a minute.
What's your name, ma'am?
It's right here.
Officer Young? What's your name, ma'am? Officer Hernandez, is that correct?
Oh, I'm glad you can read.
Wow, that was rude.
Now, she is unnecessarily escalating the situation. I'm not particularly thrilled with her training there. She's armed with a shotgun. She should be behaving politely. That is part of what we expect from officers, because at this point, this guy hasn't actually, they don't have him on any sort of crime or anything like that. All they've got him on is being suspicious when he's got a right to be doing what he's doing. Even though they may think it's obnoxious, they don't like it, they're still saying, okay, well, still shouldn't be escalating the situation like that. That's very concerning. Anybody who's armed, and that includes police, should be conscious of that and constantly seeking to de-escalate situations, not escalate them.
All right, stay here. I'll be right. You watch him for a second. Stay right there.
Am I being detained right now?
At the moment, yeah.
What crime have I committed?
No crimes have been committed at this point that we know of.
Are
Maybe
you-
your gun's stolen? I don't know.
Are you aware that I have to be committing a crime or you have to have reasonable suspicion that I committed a
Stop
crime?
talking. That'd be great.
It'd be great if you would just let me go. I didn't realize that I was in Nazi Germany.
Yeah, that's not a helpful comment here. You see how they're winding things up, and now that he's been left alone with her, and she's sort of keen on escalating, and he's rising to it. This is a bad recipe for things getting worse. Look at this interaction. She's got the shotgun. He's got his camera. You're outgunned, sir. Settle down.
So any reason why you're walking around with an AR?
I'm not answering any more of your guys' questions. You haven't done anything to anger me or anything, but
Oh, I understand
yeah.
that. I understand that there's a Second Amendment, there's a Constitution, and you're perfectly...
So his camera apparently stops working here. I hope. It's kind of unusual that there's this gap in this recording.
Put your hand in your pocket for me, please. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I kind of wonder, he says that his camera stopped working and that he turned it on. That camera was really stable when we see the recording start again. And often when you're starting a recording, you're jostling the camera. You're actually handling the camera so it jumps up and down. I didn't see that. This is just the criminal defense lawyer in me. One of the things is, even if this guy's my client, I'm a little skeptical. You got to be skeptical of everything. So I'm wondering, is this actually the camera stopped recording, or is this a gap? And if it's a gap, what's left out? That I don't know. I can only speculate. But this is another reason why it's really a good idea if you're doing any of this stuff, because, you know, keep in mind, this is dangerous. You're risking prosecution. You're risking that officer getting a little jumpy and deciding to put a hole in you that you can see daylight through. It's a good idea to have multiple cameras, so if one of them fails, you've got another backing it up. Because if this was to go to court, certainly the other side would say, well, where's the missing piece of this? Is this edited? Are we getting the full video, or are we getting something with some bits trimmed out? If going to court, this is actually a very bad thing to have, is that missing gap.
Real quick, I just wanted to say that Attorney Tom / Attorney Reacts content is now on Spotify. We just launched a partnered show, link in the description. Go check it out. Now, back to the video.
I'm gonna call you Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith, as long as you understand that based on your behavior and your actions, you have caused alarm and disorder in the community, okay? We have checked, you have refused to identify yourself, that is fine. However, based on your future behavior, from this point on, you may receive different contact, okay? Meaning that you may be detained and identified because you are causing additional alarm and disorder. You understand what I'm saying, sir?
Basically, what he's threatening is we're going to arrest you if we can find any possible reason for it, and they're sort of ginning up alarm and disorder as the basis for it. It looks like he was unloading the magazine, which is kind of an interesting move.
Saying you just said you're going to violate my Fourth Amendment right.
So you know, okay?
So here's
Have a nice day. You may pick up your firearm,
which you've strewn my bullet all over the ground.
and you may leave, sir.
I really appreciate your service to this community, officer.
You're very welcome, sir.
This is the thing. I mean, let's call it what it is, right? He's cop baiting. He's baiting these kinds of interactions. And he knows that. You know, it's his right to do so. You've got to make sure that you're in the right mental state for it. Like, if you're allowing yourself to get baited in return into these kinds of angry confrontations, it can end quite badly because the police may try to sucker you into a violation. And if they can do that, then you're going to have a very bad day. You have to be calm as a cucumber for any of this stuff. And if you're the kind of person who's going to react in anger, maybe pick a different hobby. That isn't sort of an ideal situation. We can say, hey, we've got rights. We should be able to follow them no matter who we are. But the difference between the pragmatic aspect and the idealistic aspect is quite significant. And there's costs to getting it wrong.
And I appreciate you guys defending the oath you took to uphold the Constitution.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Have
you.
yourself a great day.
You wonderful people.
Yeah, so do you think the police are really feeling inclined to come after him now? Kinda. So right now he's putting the cartridges back into the magazine because they've specifically stripped every cartridge from his mag.
Knocked all my bullets out of my magazine. Probably just to be assholes.
That's exactly why they did it. That is why they did it.
Watch, if I can't find all my bullets, they'll probably cite me for littering.
I mean, he makes a joke here. He says, if I can't find all my bullets, they'll cite me for littering. You should be aware that they are absolutely looking for an excuse to go after you right now. This is dangerous games we're playing. Careful picking it up, because he's just noted that the police are still watching him. And the police are, of course, not his friends at this stage.
Okay, so we have police over there. Oh, by the way, he did not give me his spelling of his name.
Oh, well, not getting the spelling of his name is not going to be the, you know...
What's that car number?
Often you won't get names at all.
1292. Hernandez.
Property, sir. They don't want you here.
All right.
Here's the problem. They're telling him that he's been trespassed from the property. He's not allowed on the property. And this is sort of an issue that you get whenever you're trying to exercise any right, is that just because you're exercising a right doesn't mean that people have to like you for it. And private property owners can kick you out for all sorts of things, including things that might be constitutionally protected. There are some limits to that, but, you know, if they don't like what you have to say, even though you may have a First Amendment right to say it, or in Canada, freedom of expression right, that doesn't mean that a store owner has to let you say it there. Similarly, they can decide, we don't like this guy. And the police might have gone to the owners of this property and said, hey, do you want this guy on your property? Hint, hint. And then the property owner says, no, not really. And so now they come back and say, okay, well, you're banned. That creates a problem for this guy. Remember how I said, where's he parked? This is real pitfall that he's gonna run smack into here.
Sir, you were asked to walk the other way while exiting. Do not walk towards me with a firearm in your possession. Walk the other way, please. Thank you.
Now here I am starting to think, they're playing an interesting game here. Because, he's got a right to have, to carry the firearm. But now they're saying, oh, you can't walk this way. You can't go that way. You can't. Well, I'm going to guess that there's no direction that this guy can go that doesn't get him into some trouble here. That's a problem.
Wow, this is incredible. Officer! Officer! I need to get to my car is over there.
Sir, you were asked to leave that private property. You need to leave that private property or you're trespassing.
Officer, I'm
Right now he's just on the sidewalk. That's not the private property.
trying to get to my car. It's over there. I want to leave.
Sir, keep your hands where I can see him at this point, please. I'm going to ask you to set the phone down so that you don't damage your own phone. Set it on the ground. Do not reach
My car's
near
over there.
your firearm. Set the phone on the ground.
I just want to leave.
Please.
My car is right there.
Hands on top
Now,
of your head.
he hasn't actually done anything.
Don't move.
Why am I being assaulted here? Am I being arrested?
Yep.
I want to leave.
Too bad.
All right, so that's the end of the video here. He gets taken down. Now, I don't know about you. I didn't actually see him do anything that was arrestable there. He was trying to leave. They say, get off the private property. He tries to walk in a direction and the officer says, you can't come this way. And then he sort of sits there and he calls to the officers going, what am I supposed to do here? My car's that way. He doesn't actually seem to step onto the private property. He's still on the sidewalk. And they say, you were asked to leave. And so then they're arresting him. It looks to me like they just kind of were fishing for a reason to arrest him. So a little bit of postscript because I checked into this one. What ends up happening, he gets charged with several offenses, and the offenses aren't terribly important because initially he is convicted of those offenses. That conviction is overturned and he's later cleared. But he also sues the police, and he sues the police for infringing his rights, for unlawfully arresting him, and all of that. And the problem he runs into here is that because of that initial conviction, even though it was overturned, the case law in his area that because he was convicted, even though that conviction was later found to be not valid, that his lawsuit cannot succeed for this unlawful arrest because that sufficient probable cause is that a jury convicted him even though it was overturned. So at the end of the day, he ends up facing charges which he's cleared on, and he sues and gets no money. Is stuck having to drop his lawsuit. So at the end of the day, this is a very expensive day for him because he goes out there, he's gonna have to pay a lawyer for his criminal charges, pay a lawyer for his criminal appeal, pay a lawyer for his second criminal trial, and then, pay for the civil lawyer and ultimately get no money out of it. That's a really tough lesson, when he's out there trying to exercise his rights. Just be careful with these kinds of things. And if this is something you're thinking of doing, know the risks, know the cost benefit. The benefit is you're standing up for your rights. The costs can be tremendous. We're talking tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees. I'm certain he's north of 50 grand in legal fees, and also the potential that things can go really bad because there's all sorts of situations where I just wince in this video where you see the contradictory instructions. Keep your hands up. No, put them down. If you got two officers and both of them are armed and both of them have different expectations for what you might, what you're supposed to do, that can be a recipe for a very short day in the worst possible ways. Let me know what you thought of this video in the comments. I sort of shared my thoughts on this one, but it's kind of unfortunate. You've got rights, but the exercise of those rights may themselves cause trouble. And keep in mind, a lot of the people who watch these things, and a lot of the people, somebody called him in, right? You may not necessarily have the agreement of everyone around you. Keep that in mind as well. That goes in part to other consequences that can happen. Just because you're exercising your rights doesn't mean people have to like you, and you may find that there can be reputational harms from this kind of thing as well. It might be difficult to get employment or that sort of thing if people see this sort of thing. Be aware of those risks. You can say that those shouldn't exist, that shouldn't be the case all you want. They're there, right? The world is not a fair place. The world is not necessarily a nice place. And so you've got to be aware of the risks as they actually exist, not as you think they ought to be. If you like this video, make sure you check out these other 2 videos. Like this video, subscribe to see more videos like this, and share this with your friends. Till next time, see you soon.
Big verdict.